the greatest football partnership since Juff and Heskey.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to
do
play
it
for my
then.
country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Hello there, you're welcome along. Busy football show on the way. Champions League evening progressing. Manchester City 1-0 up against Atalanta. Substitution at half-time. Claudio Bravo on, Ederson off. We're not sure if it's an injury. And the more you watch Manchester City play in this away jersey, quite frankly, you wonder how it's just so hideous. Damien Delaney alongside us. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Have you ever played in a jersey that you just hated?
No. Nothing as bad as what I'm seeing there now. Atalanta just had a great chance there, actually. Man City maybe caught cold a little bit. The guy messed up. He actually had a great Ilicic. Just messed it up, really. But they had a great chance.
You mentioned we were watching this game earlier on and you were just making the point when you were giving an update that Atalanta pretty brutal and probably not used to playing against a team who can move it around at the pace of Manchester City and all the rest. And you said one of their defenders is almost like, 10 yards behind their defensive line. It's almost like an old school sweeper. Oh, chance, goal.
They just scored.
Every time we start having conversations.
Yeah, I know, yeah. What a ball in, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Ball in the left flank. I'm not even going to try and pronounce their names, but Man City definitely haven't started. Haven't started the second half. Fantastic. Pep would be absolutely raging.
49 minutes in the clock, so we're straight into just second half's just started here. It was down the Man City right hand side.
They're just a bit ragged. The two centre-backs are very slow in getting out. And they get caught. The captain whips in an absolutely fantastic ball right in the money. Fantastic header there.
He's completely free, the striker.
Yeah, I mean, Benjamin Mendy possibly could be round a little bit more, but Fernandinho's a left side centre half, and he's definitely got caught ball watching and got sucked in underneath it. Maybe he was expecting Mendy to be round. He wasn't, but Fernandinho's not even in the vicinity of where he should be. But they've definitely not come out the traps. And probably raging because he was definitely probably thinking along the lines of let's get to 60, 70 minutes at 1-0 and might make a couple of changes and you know, when the game's put to bed, if we get a second one. But no, he's actually got to go and leave his main guys on and possibly bring on someone to win the game.
The point I was going to make is you were just doing an update and saying Atalanta didn't look great, and probably by mistake as opposed to by design. One of their defenders was almost playing like a sweeper. He was so much deeper than his the rest of the defensive line. Did the sweeper thing, has that totally died out?
Yeah, massively.
It was such a cool position to play.
Yeah, it was, because I think back in those days it was everyone just went on a press. Everyone was front foot and they tried to win the ball, and then he was like your safety, your insurance policy when the ball got hit on the back here. But now with the amount of people that run in behind, that if you've one guy that's 10 yards deeper, and I think that's where they're without having seen enough of Atalanta, I think that's where the problems are coming from. I don't think in Italy they're used to people running off the ball with the pace that Man City and Premier League teams do. Sterling will run in behind all day, and even if the pass doesn't come, he'll come back and he'll make another run. He'll just keep making them, and I don't think they're used to that. And potentially that sweeper system that they're possibly playing kind of played into their hands a little. But look, they've got themselves together, and Pep was very agitated there. Now he's shouting and roaring instructions. He will be livid.
So back in the day, there weren't as many runners coming from midfield and around the park, so the sweeper could sit a bit more pretty.
Look, I'm sure there's people out there that watched football and they'll say that I'm wrong there, but from what I've seen, the highlights of watching old games, not with the pace and the intensity and how often, especially team like Man City.
It's a fitness thing as much as anything as well.
The game
has changed.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Man City are all about runners off the ball, and a lot of the time, if you look at Man City, a lot of their runners will make runs safe in the knowledge they're not going to get the ball, but they're clearing a hole for somebody else, or they're just trying to beat the opposition into submission with the amount of forward runs that they make. They do work off the ball so hard.
But in the Leinster Senior League, you'll still get away with a sweeper then. Nice relaxed out at the back.
But I'd say that's probably a sweeper, an unintentional sweeper. It's probably a fella that just can't get out. He's stuck in there, He's like, would you leave me alone, lads?
So that's Man City. Real Madrid are 4-0 up in Galatasaray. Rodrigo, 18 years of age, scored twice in the first 7 minutes. Ramos with a penalty. Benzema with their fourth, so they're home and hosed. Bayern, 2-0 winners against Olympiacos. Coming back to them in a second. Spurs, 1-0 up in Belgrade. That's after 51 minutes. In Manchester City's group, it's Dinamo Zagreb and Shakhtar 1-0. Juventus 2-1 winners away to Moscow this evening, and Leverkusen are 1-0 up at home to Atletico. That's after 54 minutes. So interesting, Bayern were pretty good. We saw a little bit of them earlier on this afternoon. They were 2-0 winners. Contrasting stories, but I want to talk to you about Wenger really more than Bayern. But Bayern Munich set sights on Arsene Wenger was one of the big stories in the last 24 hours. So one of their main targets to replace Kovac was Ralf Rangnick, and he's ruled himself out of the running. So according to a couple of reports, that left Wenger almost in pole position because Erik ten Hag had also ruled himself out and they were seen as the front runners. Now, Raphael Honigstein's written a piece in The Athletic this evening to say that Bayern have distanced themselves from reports that Wenger has become the favourite. A source of the German champions told The Athletic on Wednesday that the Frenchman currently not amongst the group of candidates up for discussion, which I don't think surprises you. You weren't buying this Wenger front runner.
No, really. It sounds like the story that Wenger put out, really, and he's trying to kind of drum up a bit of publicity for himself there, or his agent or whoever he has working for him right now. I just don't see it. You know, that the hierarchy there at Bayern just seems to be far too forward-thinking. You know, smart guys. You know, they're real football people. I mean, Wenger was fantastic. I think he's had his day.
That was the phrase that a lot of people use. You know, the game's passed him by.
I wouldn't say it's passed him by.
What does this mean?
To say it's passed him by is a little bit harsh. You know, I think he still has an awful lot to offer. But a club like Bayern, I mean, they're at the very pinnacle of football, cutting edge.
Yeah.
They want to be ultra modern and ultra everything, and Wenger's not. Wenger's more about, you know, putting a philosophy in place where, you know, football is, you know, developing a way that he did at Arsenal.
As opposed to preparing a team tactically for this Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just doesn't marry up. I just don't see it, and I don't see them.
You would have kind of come across Wenger Arsenal teams in the era late on when, you know, people were saying he's had his day. Did they strike you as not the most forward-thinking, cutting-edge team in the way they were set up tactically?
They were, but they seem to have different aims. You know, when you contrast him to Mourinho, who's just all about results. Wenger was always about aesthetics and can we look good and can we, you know, put together fantastic passing moves. And remember that great goal they scored against Norwich where there was, you know, overs and sids and everything was going on. I don't know, I just think he just became a little bit interested in aesthetics as opposed to actual substance. And I think the game, and definitely a club like Bayern Munich, is more about substance than aesthetics, you know.
So it's not so much that tactically he wasn't so sure what was going on anymore.
I heard funny stories about people, you know, Marwan Shamak came to Crystal Palace when I was there, and I often asked Marwan, like, what was he like? And he said he was very easy, wanted the players to be happy, you know. There was no such thing as, like, you know, prehab or gym work. Like, they didn't do it. They never ever did gym work, and then you wondered for years why Arsenal had the worst injury record in the Premier League. They had the most soft tissue injuries in the Premier League for years, and I was going, God, he was just never any interest in it. You know, the lads who could come in 10 minutes before training, have a wander out, get the balls out, and not even tie their boots up and have a bit of a laugh. And not a laugh, but he was all into passing and movement and small-sided games and tiki-taka type stuff, you know, as opposed to really motivating, challenging the players and pushing them and goading them and trying to get the best out of them.
And hard work and out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly, which is why when the going got tough for Arsenal, they usually went missing. But if they sensed a bit of weakness, so you let them off the hook early on, they'll get a feel for the game and then they'll just start running riot with their passing movements, you know.
Do you know what's interesting about that is that when Wenger arrived at Arsenal first, he's been talked about by everyone as the great reformer. As in, you have to cut out alcohol, your diet has to be better. It seems like that was, you know, he moved the game forward in that respect to a point. But then it seems, well, it's basic enough, but 10, 15 years later, if he doesn't have them doing prehab, then that's so far behind every club. I presume you were just made to do prehab where you played.
No, I mean, like, you'd want to do it because you could see the benefit in it. And yeah, towards the end, some players would have to be dragged into the gym to do it, or you'd have to say, like, you know, everyone in the gym 45 minutes before the start time of training or whatever it may be. But I mean, that's where the game was going. I enjoyed it. I liked doing it. I felt better for it. It means then you can shorten your warm-up time, that you're not having a 15, 20-minute warm-up. You know, you're doing an awful lot of it in the gym, then you're in the pitch, and then you're only doing a little bit, and then you're into the bulk of the session.
No, I get that, and you would have been a clued-in player, and if you were at Arsenal, you would have probably done your prehab anyway. It's the other half of the lads who don't fancy it, who need to be dragged in. But then it becomes a culture. It becomes a cultural thing. Then when you go into a training ground and prehab's not the done thing,
having a cup of coffee and watching Sky Sports News and reading the papers becomes the done thing, and coming in and players coming in, getting changed and putting flip-flops on them because they're going upstairs for breakfast, or they're going, right, that becomes a cultural thing. And then all of a sudden you get this lovely kind of environment in the canteen in the morning where there's a bit of crack and a bit of banter, and you kind of look forward to going to the training. I'll get upstairs now and we'll have a bit of a chat and whatever, as opposed to, no, put your trainers on, lace them up and get in the gym. And then
do you think that's more what happened at Arsenal then, of Wenger tactically couldn't keep up with the young guns?
Yeah, I think he was I think tactically he was quite aware, and he knew what he wanted. He wanted a certain style, but that style seemed to overtake the winning of trophies. It's unfair to Lev because he did win FA Cups, but like he never pushed his team to a point where, you know what, it's 38 games in the Premier League season, you'd always get 20 good ones and 10 bad ones and 10 okay ones or whatever, or 8 okay ones. But like, as opposed to saying, listen, you guys are getting pushed every day, and when you win and you come in on Monday, I'm going to set up a session to let you know we're going at it again. I'm really going to push you guys to the limit, and every day, and when you lose, I'm going to really keep on your toes like a Mourinho would. You can't imagine him coming in and having a down day and just letting fellas just swan around, you know. I think especially when they're doing well, he'll put on a session where the lads get worked and he just keeps people on the limit. Wenger just didn't seem to have that. He
wanted to keep them happy.
He was more happy, I'd say, in a post-match interview when they scored one of these wonder goals that they've scored, and people were asking about that. He went home happy, as opposed to, like, you know, they won 2-0 and nothing really happened. They got 2 set-piece goals. I'd say he went home a little bit upset then.
And did you get the impression Schumacher was talking about it, going, God, they were good days? I'd love, bring me back anytime. That's where I want to be a footballer.
He was such a good guy, Schumacher. I mean, you know, like he was funny. He was, man. What a talented player he was as well. But he just kind of fell into the Arsenal way where he was just a chilled out dude, man. He just came in the mornings with flip-flops, went straight on, and he just got a cup of coffee and wandered around. But you could not like him because he was such a likeable guy, if I'm honest with you.
It's an interesting insight, isn't it? Polar opposite then. Mourinho's been linked with the Arsenal job.
I would love to see that. I would dearly love to see that.
The worst type of football.
It doesn't matter, man. I think those Arsenal fans are so desperate now at this stage. They'd probably just sacrifice their whole belief system because they're so far off it, in the hope that Mourinho might drag them back into contention.
Think about how terrible Manchester United became under Mourinho. How could you want that?
But that's not Mourinho's win, though. But that was the last year, though. I mean, up until that, he was quite good. And I remember him saying that his greatest achievement in football was getting that team to finish second.
Well,
the last year was horrific because I'd say he just got sick of the whole thing as well, and I think he lost his way a little bit. But I just think it would be fantastic just to see Mourinho back in the Premier League with Arsenal of all clubs, the club he probably despised the most.
Well, and like the club where he's called Wenger a voyeur,
yeah,
like the greatest figure in the club.
I think a lot of those fans would be going,
I don't know how to feel about this.
But they're so desperate, they'd probably take him.
I'm sure they would. Do you think he would do well?
Yeah, I do. Because I think he'd root out a lot of players there that are just on easy street and are not kind of a hangover from that Wenger era where they're just like, oh, let's go and enjoy ourselves. I think he would uproot the whole thing, and he would dig some serious people out and get them out of the club and just change the complete structure of the football club. But obviously the club would have to be willing to do that to give him the job, because I think Arsenal fans are a little bit deluded at the minute because the club aren't spending money.
Yeah.
Right, so if they're going to spend money and they keep going down the road of trying to play football, they're not going to close the gap. The gap's going to get bigger because the other guys are moving and moving. So they might as well try and shorten it in a pragmatic Mourinho kind of way. Otherwise, we'll get used to 7th and 8th in the Premier League because that's where they're going to be.
And the thing drifts.
Yeah, you know, the club don't spend money, so Arsenal fans can't get upset. If you want to be proud of your business model and your stadium and, you know, what the club stands for, because, you know, they want to stand for more than... they call almost like the massive Arab owners or Russian owners or whatever it may be. They can say, you know, we're the anti that. We're going to run a profit every year, and we're going to sell our players just at their peak, and we're going to bring through young lads and all this. And they want to be that. I think they go that route, and they will get a certain amount of praise for that. But they're not going to win trophies. Mourinho's our best chance of closing the gap, and it'd be great for the Premier League, wouldn't it?
I didn't think you were going to think that.
It'd be brilliant. from a pure entertainment point of view, I'd love to see him back.
It'd be entertaining to watch the whole thing blow up and fall apart.
Imagine him walking, just seen a picture of him walking out in like an Arsenal suit or an Arsenal tracksuit. Oh, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Oh, there'd be uproar.
Emery's still there. They drew 1-1 tonight. Arsenal was a disappointing result from their point of view, and Atalanta have gone close against Man City, just wide, header from a corner. It's still 1-1 there. We're going to take a short break. Our football coverage thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewey.net, dunlewey.net. Back in 1 sec.
Football on Off the Ball
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
Lunchtime Live.
This week on News Talk, we're looking at Ireland's commuter hell. And tomorrow on Lunchtime Live, our commuter circle returns. Barry Kenny from Irish Rail, Conor Faulkner from the AA and Louise Williams from the Dublin Cycling Campaign will be in studio to answer your commuter questions. Send us your questions now to lunchtimelive@newstalk.com or tweet us at lunchtimelive.nt.
Lunchtime Live.
With the matter private.
With me, Susan Keogh, tomorrow at midday.
On News Talk.
How do you approach an uncertain future? With a resigned shrug, or alert and ambitious to the opportunities it offers? At PwC, we think beyond the predictable. We champion creativity and agility. In a time of constant change, visionaries look for partners to enable transformation, for collaborators who see beyond the horizon. PwC. Think beyond.
Imagine Bus Connects, an efficient, reliable bus network for Dublin, taking more people to more places more often. Better for the future needs of our growing city. That's why, based on hearing from 50,000 people, we've revised our bus network proposals to bring better bus services for Dublin. You spoke, we listened. Now we want to hear from you again. So we've opened a second round of public consultation. For details on the proposed bus services, how to give feedback, and to check out our new route mapper, visit busconnects.ie. Bus Connects is an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Hey, are you ready for a good time?
The star of Comedy Central's Daily Show is coming live. Trevor Noah.
He eats here. He sleeps here. I'm like, does he know we're here? You can touch anything.
Trevor Noah, Loud and Clear Tour. Saturday, March 21st, 3 Arena. Tickets from €50 go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Maybe subject to fees. Presented by Aiken Promotions in association with the Irish Times.
Can we take a selfie? Or even Instagram? I'll just put hashtag the man.
Remember our secret? Kildare Village is having a private sale from this Friday to Sunday the 17th. Yes, that does mean an extra 20% off participating brands, but you must become a member at kildarevillage.com to get those savings. It's a private sale, after all. So get online and be in line for those extraordinary extra savings. Only during the private sale, only at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day. Terms and conditions apply.
Over the last number of years, AIB have been working to build a more sustainable business. We have invested in wind energy projects, launched a €5 billion climate action fund, signed a low-carbon pledge, and yet it's still not enough. We will keep telling ourselves that every day. AIB alone is not the solution to climate change, but we're doing everything we can to be a part of it. AIB, we pledge to do more. Allied Irish Banks plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Don't live your life on hold. Get a quote now at itsforwomen.ie and see why we're trusted by over 130,000 women in Ireland.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
All right, welcome back. So no change at Man City. Atalanta 1, Man City 1. We have Spurs. Ooh, they've scored a rake of goals very quickly. They're suddenly 3-0 up now. Son has scored 2. Good on him. He's had a rough week. So Son has scored in the 57th.
Amazing how your public persona, like, look, we like Son because he's a nice guy.
He is a nice guy. You're one cynical. What have you got against Son? Of all the players in the Premier League?
Nothing, but like he's just a nice guy, isn't he? He's always smiling and everyone's got time for him. And
well, you should try it sometime. So that's Spurs 3-0. Jeez, good man, Son. Good man, Son. He's had a tough week.
Please.
Yeah, he's come through a tough time. So last night we promised you Paddy Agnew. We didn't bring it to you because there was loads going on, not least at Stamford Bridge. So this is Paddy Agnew from last night. Obviously, Juve and Inter come up in the course of this conversation. Inter beaten by Dortmund last night. Juve have won this evening. That doesn't overly change what Paddy has to say about them. They're locked in a two-way race for Serie A this year, it looks like. But the reason we want to talk to him, and we started with this, is there were really ugly scenes between Brescia and Verona. Balotelli plays for Brescia now, and unfortunately for him, racist abuse was to the fore again. So Paddy Agnew is the Italian correspondent for World Soccer magazine. and I asked him to describe just exactly what had happened on Sunday.
Well, yeah, I mean, the boy Balotelli is not new to creating headlines, and he did it on Sunday. It was, these days he plays for Brescia, right, who are at the wrong end of Serie A at the moment. And they were an away game against Verona in Verona. He gets the ball about 10 minutes into the second half. He gets the ball near Verona corner flag. And as he does, there are a whole series of not particularly loud, but certainly audible monkey chants, racist chants go up. And Balotelli simply loses his cool. He stops playing, picks up the ball, and looks up at the area of the terraces where the chants are coming from and kicks the ball up there. And if he does, then we have 4 or 5 minutes of confusion as the referee suspends the game for a while. And eventually the game resumes, and Verona win the match 2-1 with that one goal being scored. A brilliant goal it was too by Balotelli, but to no avail. But arguably the most polemical aspect of this incident is that the Verona coach, the Verona club president, appeared to suggest that there was no real racist chanting going on. It was just good-natured banter or stuff like that, and that they basically tried to downplay the incident. One, and secondly, much more importantly, Luca Castellini, the ultra fan that you mentioned in the introduction, the guy who's been given the ban, he gave an interview to a local radio station yesterday morning in which he said that, that guy Balotelli, I mean, he just, he's coming to the end of his career. Next year he'll probably be on TV acting the prima donna. So, I mean, he wanted to create a bit of publicity. And, as far as I'm concerned, anyway, Balotelli, Balotelli's not really, he's got Italian citizenship, all right, but he's not really Italian. And he went on along those lines. So it's got to be said, this guy Castellini is a member of a right-wing group, party, a right-wing political force called Forza Nova, and he's not new to statements like this. He's already had problems with the Football Federation about his behaviour grounds. So it wasn't a surprising statement from him. What was surprising was that the local radio was happy to offer him a platform to say things like that.
And presumably at that stage, the manager and the president of Verona couldn't really deny that there were racist things being said. Was it at that point when the local radio interview went out that Verona banned him, or who's banned this guy?
Well, he's been banned by the Football Federation's Observatory on ground behaviour. So in other words, it's a Football Federation ban, and he's got what's called a DASPO, which is basically you're banned from going to any football match for 1 season, or in his case, 15 seasons.
So Verona themselves didn't actually step in and say, do you know what? Having heard the radio interview, we're going to do what's so obviously right here and ban this guy. I mean, 11 seasons, he got off lightly. He should be banned for life if Verona were keen to stamp this out. So actually, this reflects very badly on their hierarchy. Well,
it reflects badly on not just Verona. It reflects badly on other clubs who have traditionally had an ambiguous relationship with some of their hardcore fans, because the hardcore fans are the guys who go to the away matches, the guys who provide real support from the teams playing in difficult away fixtures. But that doesn't excuse any of it. It's just that it's a problem which some people in high places in Italian football are still a bit slow to understand the full significance of it.
And a brief tangent just for a moment. You mentioned that he was on local radio, Castellani, this ultra.
Yeah.
Is it routine beyond, I kind of a moment of controversy like this with Balotelli, where I presume he was on to talk about that situation? Parking that for a second, I'm always amazed at the influence that ultras continue to have on the continent. Is it a routine thing for ultras to be on local radio giving their views on where their respective clubs are going?
The answer is yes. Certain radios, yes. Certain radios, their entire economy revolves around the local football team, and hardcore supporters, ultra supporters, are going to be appearing regularly in those transmissions.
Yeah, and they're asked, but it's a notch above the football fan phone-in culture that might be there in the UK. Like, so these ultras would almost be known to the people listening to the radio, and they would have a more of an influence than somebody just ringing up 5 Live of a weekend.
Absolutely, they're not everyday supporters. They're not any old supporter in the street. They're guys who are involved in the basically the organised fan trips, organised fan behaviour. They may well be involved in the buying and selling of the club merchandise. They may well be involved in other aspects of the club affairs. That's not always clear. But what is certain is that they are people with a certain influence. And it would also seem certain, and the Minister of the Interior have said this many times, that they see people like Castellini. He sees football and football fans as a perfect recruitment ground for guys that he could use in his political movement further on down the road. That his long-term aim is not football. His long-term aim is right-wing politics.
Okay. As for Balotelli, I mean, we don't often talk about him these days. He's at Brescia. It might seem like a random club for him to pitch up at, but that's where he was raised, I understand. That's where he grew up, Balotelli, right. So nostalgic reasons. How's his form generally? How's he doing generally?
Well, he missed out on so much football last season that he's still not anything like 100% fit. I've only seen him play twice. I saw him play against Napoli. He scored a good goal against Napoli when he used he's still a big man up front, and he got up in the air for a headed goal. But he's still a bit slow. He's still short of match fitness. But the news today is that Roberto Mancini, the Italian national team coach, he's got 2 games coming up, 2 European qualifiers, which don't matter to him because Italy have already qualified. And there's indications they might call up Balotelli just to get him back into the atmosphere of the national team, and maybe maybe with a view to having him in the squad for next summer.
Okay. So I mentioned at the outset then, Juventus are on 29 points, Inter Milan are on 28 points, 11 games in. Inter and Conte, their challenge being spearheaded by Lukaku. So I'm seeing he has scored a record set by Ronaldo. He's got 9 goals in 11 Serie A games. This is suiting Lukaku down to the ground. Is he playing as well as all that suggests?
Well, he is, and he's... one of the reasons why he's scoring the goals is because the team's playing a 3-5-2 lineup, in which one of the main ideas, lads, is to get the ball up front to either Lautaro or Lautaro Martinez, the Argentine, or to Lukaku, and they've both been in very, very good form. They've scored a lot of goals between them, and Lukaku at this point, it's a lot of money was spent on him, and looks like it was money well spent.
And how are Juventus shaping up then? Is this how things are going to go across the course of the season? Do we expect Inter to be able to keep pace with Juve?
I don't know. That's a good question, but at the moment they're the only side that look like they can possibly keep pace with them, because Napoli already appear to have, they got beaten by Roma on Saturday. They're already appear to have dropped off the pace a bit. And there's no other side. It looks like a 2-horse race already. The one thing you would, 2 things I'd say about Inter. One is that they have. There's a lot of hunger there, and they've got a very hungry coach in Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
And he might be able to sustain the challenge. The problem, to my mind, it would probably do them good if their Champions League run were to end a bit prematurely, because I don't think they've got enough squad strength, and certainly Conte doesn't think they've got enough squad strength to go through a whole season in which they're battling both for the Serie A title and for Champions League, quarter-final play, semi-final.
As for Juventus, Matthias de Ligt, I saw, scored in their comeback at the weekend. They beat Torino.
Yeah.
2-1. De Ligt is obviously a player I think everybody's quite interested in. We're expecting huge things from him. So he scored a goal. I presumably he's settling in. What about Sarri and Juventus? Because as I'm sure you know, the Sarri thing never quite caught fire at Chelsea, and even neutrals looking at Chelsea, it never quite worked. It never quite made sense. So how are things going at Juve? Obviously he was ill for a couple of weeks.
Well, no, the others don't seem to have any negative effects. I mean, the team is bit by bit beginning to absorb his ideas. They're playing a more offensive, a faster passing, quicker moving game than was played by Allegri, and a lot less pragmatic, a lot less cynical. But they're not there yet, and. They only managed to win Saturday with a penalty in the 95th minute of the game. So I mean, they are Sarri has not finished. They're not the finished work as far as Sarri is concerned. But all the indications are that they will be by the end of the season a very serious force.
Are we seeing much of Aaron Ramsey, Paddy?
We haven't seen. Ramsey hasn't played too much. I saw him on the weekend, and he's looking good. I think he's going to play this week in the Champions League.
Okay, there's quite a few Premier League players who are doing rather well over there. We mentioned Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez injured, unfortunately for him. Chris Smalling, Smaldini is what I'm hearing. Paddy, Smaldini.
Yeah, well, Smalling is one player I have seen because he plays for Roma. And I've seen his last two games, and I found him really good. I was very impressed by him. I think he's a really solid defender. Reads the game well. You know, you can see that he's a very experienced player. He settled into Rome very well. I think he's going to have a very, very good season.
Yeah, because I mean, initially they were looking at Alderweireld and Dejan Lovren. Through 6 Serie A appearances, no opponent, I was reading, has dribbled past him. He has made a 100% tackle rate. Obviously, stats can be a bit silly in many respects, but still, they're not bad stats. And they've kept a number of clean sheets when he's tended to play. It was interesting, he was talking himself, Chris Smalling. He said in England, quite often you have to deal with just one striker. So you've got your other 2 central defenders covering you. He said often here in Italy you can be left 2-on-2 a lot of the time. There's a lot more runs in behind you being made as well. I'm enjoying it. I quite like the tussle, and I like a sprint against a striker. It definitely suits my game. So he's feeling much better about life too.
Yeah. Well, he plays like a player who's enjoying himself. He made one in the game against Napoli on Saturday. He made one absolutely fantastic save. Clearing a ball off the line, an overhead kick. Which was the sort of goal saver that only player can pull off when they're in really very good form.
Yeah, and so Napoli are down in 7th at the moment. They're already adrift of Juve and Inter Milan. Roma are next in line in 3rd. I presume there's a seismic enough gap between Roma and certainly Juventus. Whatever about Inter.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. There's a 2-horse race. Juventus and Inter are going to have a competition all to themselves, and Roma and Lazio and Napoli and Atalanta will fight for 3rd and 4th place, but they'll be a long way behind. They'll be far off the pace.
Yeah, and Conte and Sarri, I presume they're fairly respectful of each other. Anything interesting or notable about their relationship as they go head to head?
No, there are no polemics there. They are both pretty level-headed guys, actually. And there's not going to be. I don't think you're going to have any problems of that sort. What you have at the moment is both of them complaining about this time of year when they're playing a match every 3 days between Champions League and Serie A. And Conte in particular is arguing that the Inter have got to give them a couple extra players in the January transfer window, or we're not going to go anywhere, lads.
The same as every manager the world over. The same true complaints.
Yeah, absolutely. Never heard that before.
Paddy, great stuff. Great to have you on. We'll check in, obviously, across the course of the season. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Off the Ball
on News Talk.
At Renault, we're on a mission to drive down carbon emissions. So we created Renault Carbon Rewards, rewarding you for choosing a cleaner car with savings of €3,500 guaranteed on the all-new Renault Clio. For more awards across our cleaner Renault range, visit the Renault Runway event from the 7th to the 9th of November at your local Renault dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required, subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Hurry! Morgantown's dining tables and chairs sale is in full swing. All dining tables and chairs reduced. No exceptions. See Facebook for daily offers. Morgantown's tables and chairs sale now on.
Birra Moretti believes that in Italy, great food is found in every kitchen, from arancini to bruschetta and beyond. But even if the extent of your Italian menu is spaghetti bolognese, there's always Birra Moretti, Italy's favorite beer, to add an authentic Italian touch to Ireland's dinner tables. Ah, delizioso! Great taste, never lost in translation. Birra Moretti, l'italiana autentica. Always drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Charity Trustees Week is a big thank you to the thousands of people running charities in Ireland. From November 11th to 15th, Charity Trustees Week will celebrate the work of charity trustees with a series of events nationwide. This year's exciting programme includes a wide range of events and opportunities for trustees. If you're a charity trustee or are interested in becoming a charity trustee, log on to www.charitiesregulator.ie for a full list of events.
'Tis the season to celebrate. The lights, the windows and the iLac. With great stores for all the family. Like Smiggle, The Works, TK Maxx, Flying Tiger, Debenhams and Argos. Bring them to the Santa experience. Come by car, bus, Dart or Lewis and rediscover the iLac this Christmas.
From true crime believers to science and business achievers, sports, arts and comedy to the latest entertainment wannabe. Get political, get healthy, get educated. Get all your favourite podcasts on Go Loud. Download the Go Loud app now or add us on your smart speaker. Go Loud. Podcasts, radio and music to your ears.
Over the last number of years, AIB have been working to build a more sustainable business. We have invested in wind energy projects, launched a €5 billion climate action fund, signed a low-carbon pledge, and yet it's still not enough. We will keep telling ourselves that every day. AIB alone is not the solution to climate change, but we're doing everything we can to be a part of it. AIB, we pledge to do more. Allied Irish Banks plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back. If you listened last night, we made a complete hash of trying to update you on what was going on at Stamford Bridge. We're actually glad that what's happened...
No, this was our chance to redeem ourselves because we were right on top of what's going on here.
Only because we've had a few minutes. So, confusion reigns. Atalanta 1, Manchester City 1. 86 minutes on the clock. Manchester City have just been reduced to 10 men. Claudio Bravo on for Ederson at half-time. Rushed out of his goal, Damien, to close in a one-on-one chance.
Gundogan, who I think was really poor tonight, got caught in possession, turned it over, one straight ball down the middle, and the Atalanta centre-forward, Pasalicic, I think was his name.
Who, sorry?
I don't know. Anyway, he's going through one-on-one, and Claudio Bravo's come steaming out, like absolutely all in, and the guys nicked it past him. I mean, look, the guy's almost hurdled the challenge and gone down, so I think the intent is what he's getting done for. Claudio Bravo was hoping for a VAR check. This all happened after it was 79 minutes. We're at 86 now because Man City are playing games, trying to run the clock down, realising that they won't have this. Claudio Bravo's now gone off. They're trying to make a substitution to get him on, and obviously you can't restart the game without a goalkeeper, and Man City are playing some serious games here because they have to take Riyad Mahrez off, which is the one they were supposed to, but then they're changing around and they're messing with it. They can't restart the game without a goalkeeper, and that's what they're doing now, and they've took about 4 minutes off the clock, so it's disgraceful. I mean, Atalanta manager was absolutely disgusting, and Kyle Walker's going in goal with Claudio Bravo's jersey that's on.
Yeah, it's a real mess, actually. Genuinely, this has been 6, 7, 8 minutes of confusion when there's...
It's poor, man. For a team of Manchester City's size to resort to these types of tactics is
They have to have someone in goals, don't they?
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. They realise now that they could have 11 minutes with Kyle Walker in goal and 10 men, and they're playing silly games, messing around with who's coming off, and eventually the referee actually manhandled Mahrez there and pushed him towards the sideline. And we're into the 88th minute now, like really, and it's just not. It's poor form. Well, it's professional, but I just think for a club of Manchester City started to resort to these types of this type of tactics is awful.
It's not a penalty, by the way, if you're wondering. Bravo came outside his area and challenged him. There were two defenders coming, not a million miles off the Atalanta forward, but Bravo probably felt.
I'm not sure what Bravo was doing. I mean,
really?
he literally went all in. He was like, I'm going for this. It's all or nothing. The guys weren't a million miles away. I think the centre-backs, if he'd just backed off.
Maybe, yeah. I got interrupted here. We now have the spectacle of a free kick about 28, 29 yards, maybe 25 yards outside, away from goal, and Kyle Walker's in goal. So you're the free kick taker, and you know Kyle Walker's just come on into goal. Here we go. Free kick taken. Walker spills it, but gathers it. We're going to have now 10 minutes of just get as many shots on Kyle Walker as possible.
I'd be interested to see how much time goes, how it goes up on the board to see there's a referee saying we're putting 10 minutes on here.
It has to be at least 7.
At least.
Give me your assessment of Kyle Walker's technique here.
Absolutely awful. I mean, it's not great that. But anyway, look, he kept it over the net, which is the main thing.
Just about. So the ball was kind of going through his legs. He
bent down as if he's just scooping something up, and he didn't even get his knee behind it, old school.
No body behind it.
There was nothing.
It was just hands. He was a bit chunky in Claudio Bravo's goal. By the way, Kyle Walker. So there we are. You were just saying, we were kind of watching this, and you were like, there's something off with Man City this year.
Yeah, there is.
Not just tonight. There's something not working there.
And I think that it's not been highlighted enough this year. They're just, I don't know, there's something not right about it. There's too many players that are getting by on reputation, I think. That aren't contributing to the level.
Who jumps to mind? You mentioned Gundogan.
Gundogan definitely has been cruising this year. Mahrez not doing enough for me.
He's not absolutely brilliant a couple of weeks ago. I know you're talking about consistency.
Consistent, I mean, really relentless. You look at Mane and Firmino, those guys are just relentless, week in, week out, day in, day out. At the minute, these guys are just showing up, doing a couple of fancy bits, getting a nice highlight reel, and, again...
Because Mahrez a couple of weeks ago, they were actually highlighting his work rate and how that had improved.
Nah, I'm not having him. I don't think it does enough. No, of course I'm having him, but he's a fantastic player. He's just...
In the context of trying to win a Champions League.
Right, you're trying to win Champions League. I mean, I need to see you at it morning, noon and night, and I don't think he is.
De Bruyne?
Again, very, very good. I'm not going to criticise him, but he's not playing to the heights, the consistency, and as often as what he was last year. Kyle Walker, not when he plays, again, not amazing. They haven't, obviously, they've catastrophic problems at the back with Otamendi, who's nowhere near the level that he should be. Fernandinho
playing centre
back, and then you lose him in midfield. I mean, look at Gundogan there, man. He doesn't look sharp. He looks very lethargic.
Well, that's enough.
A lack of leadership, a company possibly going. There doesn't seem to be anyone that's really, gone in. The only one that's playing anywhere near the level it should be is Raheem Sterling. Week in, week out, really at the standard that's required. Everyone else is kind of doing okay, highlight reel type stuff, but nothing to say they're going to win the Champions League.
7 minutes of added time, the board's just gone up.
I think that's extremely unfair, if I'm being honest with you. It was 7 just for the substitution in my book, and there should be the original at least 3 tacked on for other stuff. Ilicic, that was his name.
Well done.
Yeah.
Real Madrid 5-0 up on Galatasaray, so that one's done. PSG still just 1-0 up on Club Brugge at home, but they're into added time there. Bayern 2-0 winners tonight, we've discussed that. Spurs 4-0 now, away to Red Star, that's a good result for them. Christian Eriksen with their 4th. Son has scored 2 tonight for Spurs. Man City we're talking about. Zagreb 3, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, and Bayer Leverkusen now 2-0 up at home to Atletico Madrid. That's a good result for Leverkusen, so that's where we are in the Champions League this evening. One thing I wanted to ask you actually on the back of this whole Liverpool fixture congestion business, given that you played a long time, different ages obviously at a very high level, how much time did you need between games? When you look at the likes of Man City doing the Saturday, Tuesday or Sunday, Wednesday thing, or Europa League, Thursdays, and sometimes playing again on Saturday, I appreciate how old you are is going to be a factor. But when you're talking about 50, 60 games a season, were you beaten up a lot of the time? Or did you feel, I'm fine, I'm ready to go again?
Physically, those guys will be fine.
Fine?
It's more mentally, really. The fatigue gets you, getting ready another game, more travel, back and forth. So giving those guys, when they do get a chance to have a break, making sure those guys get away for 4 or 5 days to not worry or think about football, maybe get a little bit of sun on their back. is really important. And then it's how motivated they are, how much the manager can keep them sharp, can keep training light, can keep training quick, and the players aren't in the building too long, you know. So it's more of a mental thing really than a physical thing.
Really? So kind of midway through a season, your legs and your body would feel every bit as good.
Listen, you'd have knocks and bumps and whatever, you know what I mean.
But energy levels.
Energy levels, you should be okay. But I think mentally is the big thing for these guys.
And how would you find yourself mentally then as the season might go?
Sometimes you get fatigued and you're like, oh God. And then the games you just go, you think you got to dig in here and just, you know, you're not going to be great tonight, but you can't be awful. So you need to give a nice solid 6 out of 10 here and just get through tonight, you know.
That is the realities of a professional sometimes.
Yeah, like when you're playing Saturday, I remember playing, when I was in the Championship, it was Saturday, Tuesday. Some Tuesday night you're going, in the warm-up, you're going, I feel a little bit tired today, you know, mentally. I'm a little bit not focused as what I should be maybe, so listen, let's just, no mistakes here, let's be nice and strong, nice and solid, get through it, and hopefully then, you know, as you get to the latter stages of the season, when the sniff of a trophy or the sniff of success, hopefully that kind of reinvigorates you.
And was that a motivation thing? On those Tuesday nights when you're kind of in the warm-up?
No, not really. It's just
tiredness.
Yeah, it's tiredness. You know, physically, you feel okay. I mean, I remember playing the Championship where, you know, at Christmas time you'd play like on a Saturday, and then you'd play on St. Stephen's Day. Got that right, didn't I? Instead of Boxing Day. And then at Easter you'd play like maybe Saturday, Monday.
Yeah.
They were tough. Oh, that was harsh. Like, you know, especially if you played on a Saturday and then you were away on the Monday and you were travelling on a Sunday. So you kind of coming in Sunday morning really stiff and tired, and then you kind of having a stretching session and a walk just to get it going. Then you're on a bus travelling somewhere, and then you're to a hotel and you're sleeping, and you get up. I mean, those games were just, you know, shit shows really, you know, where everyone's just kind of going, God, everyone's knackered, you know, because you've only played 48 hour previous, you know.
You forget the travel days, you forget all that stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
what would you need to do if, say, you get a good week of training for a random week where it's a Saturday kind of situation? Like, what would you do in training that you wouldn't be able to do when the games are coming thick and fast that actually would really benefit you? Because I presume you're fit anyway at that
time on the grass, really.
Really,
yeah, you wouldn't get an awful lot of time on the grass because the managers want to minimise that, or the coaches do, you know. I mean, sometimes if you've got a lot of games, you could only be out there for like 35, 40 minutes.
And time on the grass for you is getting organised as a defence and that kind of thing?
Yeah, and putting in sessions where the manager can implement the ideas of what he's looking for, and if you want to do team shape or pattern of play or work on the attacking or the defending, sometimes he might want 40 minutes with the defenders, but you can't do that because then you have the other parts of the session to go in as well, and then you're trying to like make shorter areas or smaller areas, shorter distances, so the players aren't covering too much. But I mean, if you've got like a Saturday for a month and you have got a midweek game, then they can. Definitely on a Tuesday would be a work day, you know. So if you played on a Saturday, probably have Sunday off. Monday you'd come in, you do a modified session, stroke recovery, stroke kind of, you know, getting your legs back. But it would be a session you do a certain amount of distance. Then Tuesday you'd get pummeled, you know, where you're up 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 8, definitely maximum 8 kilometres in the session, you know. So they're really kind of mimicking what you do in a game. And then Wednesday's your rest day.
Day off?
A day off day, yeah. So you'd have a day off Wednesday, or you depending, every manager has a different schedule. I think the way they normally do it now is you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday and Friday, you know, so they're really tapering the week down. But definitely Tuesday, Wednesday will be your serious work days, and then Thursday will be day off, not even in the building. Like, you know, you really have to, and then come in Friday and you'd have a real kind of focus session and getting sharp and stuff like that.
How often would you do weights across the season?
You definitely do on a Monday and Tuesday. Monday you do probably, if you played on a Saturday, you probably do an upper body session, core session type thing, and then Tuesday they really will get after your lower body, you know.
Okay.
And then you definitely wouldn't be doing weights later in the week, like, you know. Definitely not on Thursday or Friday if you were in, you know.
Would you ever on a Saturday, the manager go, do you know what, lads, we're all wrecked, take the week off?
Not the whole week, no. But a lot of managers, if you had a big chunk of fixtures and you kind of got to the end of that, and then you were playing on a Saturday, you know, they might say, listen, everyone see a Tuesday, you know, or even, you know, someone like Neil Warnock might say, see you Thursday.
What, he?
Yeah, he's definitely one of them fellas, like, you know what I mean?
I'm taking the 2 days off as well.
Yeah, I think that's what it was for, you know.
We are coming to the end of the show, so...
This game has just petered out, hasn't it? Like,
it has a little bit. City should see this out. They're into the 6th minute of added time. Earlier on, by the way, we asked you to tell us where the Italian Grand Prix takes place. The answer, of course, is Monza. So, Pat McLaughlin, you win those pair of tickets to the Motorsport Show. Well done, Pat. And you're in the draw to win that trip to London E-Prix 2020. Tomorrow morning, OTBAM Live, 7:30, all our social channels, and the Go Loud app as well. And then Nathan back in the hot seat tomorrow, 7 o'clock. John Giles with us. And more highlights from the Virgin Media Roadshow in Dundalk from Monday. And Stephanie Meadows going to pop into studio as well and talk all things golf, as will Roberto Lopez. He'll be talking Shamrock Rovers and their FAI Cup success. So that is us done. It's gone full time in Atalanta, so that's a good point, sort of, but not really, for Man City. Tom Dunn is on the way. Damien Delaney, thanks very much.
Cheers, pleasure.